You see these guys? These are the Normans. These are the Normans. And they've been invading. I see a lot of people online advocate for so-called sovereign corporations or societies that are at their foundation ran in accordance to the principle that businesses work better than governments, and therefore, because those businesses have an obligation to their shareholders, they are bound by contract to produce good results, uh, thereby, or therefore, that fundamental logic ought to be applied to government so government can produce good results. I think what this fails to recognize is the role of monopoly in capitalism and how the regulated form of capitalism that many countries around the world today have um, prevents it prevents um, products from being infinitely worse because you know when companies are so big that they can't fail due to eating away at the market share of every other company in their wake, buying them up, um, and thereby, having a monopoly over um, the territory in the market that other company once occupied. Um, it it creates a situation where you have inferior products. And you have inferior products because the there's no competition, Like this is really basic stuff that we're all taught at some point. But I feel like a lot of people online by this point have basically forgotten. Um, And so it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea to just, if you're going to have capitalism, it's a bad idea to just have fully unregulated capitalism. But we don't even need to look at societies that have been tried with zero regulation, or very little regulation at least. We don't even need to look at those countries to see how they failed. We can. Um, but we need to look no further than to some regulated countries that still have a great amount of monopolization in their country, even though they have laws on the books that purport to address such a problem. They allow these mega corporations to continue to flourish. The case in point that I want to give is the UK with Virgin Group. Uh, if you don't know what Virgin Group is, it is this multinational conglomerate of businesses that range from everything from gambling to um, like space travel. Like they have their hand in fucking everything. I think in the United States, we would primarily associate them with like telecommunications and that brief period of time when they were publishing video games on like the Amiga and the Sega Genesis. That's how I knew them at least. Um, they don't have a huge presence in America, but of course they have their hand in a couple things. Um, they're more present in the Commonwealth countries, but especially the UK. Um, and they kind of just do everything, but they do everything kind of bad. Like Virgin trains, if you've been on any of those in the UK, I have. They are the worst trains by far in the country. They are the least reliable in the country. It's awful. Um, and their internet is notoriously bad with outages that are sometimes countrywide. All in all, it is just a bad company. Like Virgin Group is a bad company, but they're able to succeed monetarily because despite being a jack of all trades, master of none, they have their hand in so many different trades that they can subsist. They can even flourish as a company. Um, and this has created a certain level of international mediocrity where, like, they're so ubiquitous that people just kind of accept them in all manner of industries and all corners of the world. But we know when we see that Virgin logo that we are not going to get a quality product. We are going to get an acceptable product, one that does the bare minimum, one that functions mostly, sometimes not. Um, and I think this is what the ultra libertarian, anarcho capitalist, anarcho monarchist, sovereign corporation crowd, like Mencius Moldbug, sometimes known as Curtis Yarvin, I think this is what they want for society. I think what they're looking for is essentially a radical form of capitalism where it isn't just one virgin group that we have. The government becomes Virgin Group. The model that Virgin Group has and the quality of those products that they're able to produce by adhering to the demands of their shareholders, meeting the demands of their shareholders, it would be the same dynamic playing out with the government. If you want government to function like a business, that's the business you're going to get. You're not going to get Amazon, where because they have that responsibility to their shareholders, they get a package to you on time every time. Uh, you're not going to get that. You are not going to get Amazon. You're going to get Virgin Group.
Okay, I'm fucking pissed off. I've been pissed off this whole fucking day. I've been so mad. And I'm gonna be mad about something. So, you know these poisonous, awful, venomous drinks that I'm always drinking about and talking about and 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 complaining about and fantasizing about? Yeah, these ones right fucking here. Look at this shit. Look at this shit that's on every single drink. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. They're all on here. They are all on here when you buy this shit. And I don't, because the top is in the wrong spot, really ideally you think the top would be pointing back here because then you can see the fucking logo in the front. But no, it's here at the side like some fucking weird Down syndrome shit. And so it's right here, and then when I pour it to drink it, I have to look at this shit. Right before I do that, I have to look at this shit. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I don't want to see these awful mind viruses colonizing the front of my fucking can, uh, destroying the aesthetic, reminding me that modern society exists when I'm trying to return to tradition when everybody would play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on their dial up connection on PS2. But no, instead I have to be reminded. I have to be reminded that in order to be with everybody else, I have to be on Xbox Live. That's what this is telling me. Thank God they got rid of that Apex Legends shit that pissed me off so much. But I still have to deal with this. But these people, this bird and this camera looking icon and this F that they got here, the FANG corporations, the FAG corporations that they advertise on here, these are literally considered an extremist group in one of the largest countries in the world. I'm talking about Russia. You can't display the Facebook logo or the Instagram logo because they're considered an extremist organization by the Russian government. So I don't know if Monster Energy is still in the Russian market these days. I don't know if they're complying with sanctions. But imagine you're some Ruski who's like trying to import these from China or Japan or some shit like that to try and sell on your market, and then these fucking icons come up, and they're like, "Oh no, this is a serious threat to our democracy." What do they do? Do they just take like a fucking black pen? Do they just take a fucking black pen to this shit and fucking ink it out so you can't see it? I guess that's what they do. Or maybe they don't even have these in Japan. Maybe Japan is sensible enough to not want to plaster the icons of social media companies that you are no doubt already aware of if you are in the target demographic of Monster Energy. And of course, because they're a rational and godlike people on this earth, they realize that it would be superfluous and quite redundant to plaster the fucking can with these eyesores. Change it, get it right, leave me alone.